here we are on day 11, and we are adding to our tablescape that we have been working on. We did some earlier, we did some place cards and some napkin rings and things like that, and now we're going to do something that the kids can do. The younger kids, if you have small children or grandkids, where they don't have to have any glue, they don't have to have any tape, they don't have to have anything messy. All they need is for you to cut the paper for them. Or maybe you want to help them and let them cut it. But these are what I call the giant sequins, and they are perfect for your kids' tables or either scattered about on your adults' table. So it's giant sequins. This is the 4.5 inch size, and I believe I made this one 6.5, but you can go up to an 11 inch size, and this could even be used on the kids' table as a liner for their plate, as a placemat. Would be super cute. But all you're going to do is just gently fold. It doesn't need to be a hard crease. You're just going to gently fold on all of those score lines, and then you're going to come to the center ones, and we're just putting a little bit of a crease in there to give it that appearance of a sequin, and it already has the hole in it. So those scattered about with your flowers on the table or on the kids' table are going to be a lot of fun. And again, on the big one, you're just going to do the same thing. No glue, no tape, just a few gentle folds, and they are done. So if they're super small and they have short attention spans, this is going to give them something to do to occupy them where it's not a lot of effort. So something for the kids. I hate to leave them out. And you can see they're super fun and super cute, and you can do these in all sorts of different Christmas colors. I have used the foil paper, the foil poster board, and the foil craft board. So you can basically get, if you do the 4.5 inch size, you can get 5 out of a sheet of 12 inch paper. And of course, the larger you go, the fewer that you're going to get. So do some in all different sizes and scatter them about. Lots of fun. Let's move on over to our monthly supporter file. We are going to be doing a giant poinsettia for the tablescape, and those two can be done in various sizes, but we're going to do one of the bigger sizes just to show you guys how they go together. Okay guys, here we are with the monthly, and this is an access image, okay? And I haven't done anything to it except size it, and I am going to double check, but I think that I cut this one at the, yeah, this one is a 5 inch, and you can see that kind of fits in the palm of my hand. Now you can go a lot smaller. You've seen me go smaller with this flower on top of little treat boxes and cards and other things. So you can go smaller with it, but we are going to learn how to do it with a larger, because it is slightly different on how you put it together. Now this one that we're doing is cut at 7 inches in width. You can go all, I have them in the file, I think from a 3 up to an 11 inch. So, but you can even go a 1/2 inch bigger if you want. 11 inch is going to make these cut the size of a 12 sheet of paper. But you want to, when you're doing this for like a tablescape, you want various sizes. So you might want to do a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that way. But I find that going up 2 inches, you're really not going to notice much of a size difference going 1 inch. But when you go 2 inches, you can see that there is a very good difference in size, but not too much. And that way you can scatter them about on the table or group them up and make a beautiful tablescape using these. Now, usually I just use like a thin foam dot. You see how thin those are? Those are what I usually use when I do my flowers. With these being larger, of course, we're going to have to go bigger. Now, this is foam that came out of a shaker window that I had, and I didn't throw it away, so I'm going to use it. but your foams are going to come in different thicknesses, okay? And you can double them up, things like that. Like the edge of this, I wouldn't throw the edge of these away. I keep those. That way I can cut them and stack them up for flowers, because you're never going to see them. They don't have to be perfectly round or square, anything else. They can be your scraps. You can buy foam tape on the rolls. I have some here somewhere, and it comes in different thicknesses as well. It comes in the thin and it comes in the thicker, and you can stack those up. So you're going to need some, but I am going to recommend the thicker one for your larger flowers and not these. You can also hot glue, or you can use your liquid glue, and I'm going to be using my art glitter glue for mine. You're going to need a paper pad and your ball stylus. Now I have some. Again, I'm moving, so my tools are a little bit scattered, but you can get them. I think my biggest one is like a 1-inch ball, and that is perfect for the giant flowers, but I couldn't find it. So I grabbed a paintbrush. Anything with a smooth, round end that's larger is going to work. You can find things around your craft room in your home that will work for it. If you're doing the really big ones, a golf ball, something like that you can press and roll with will work. You won't have as much control, but you can get there. Okay, so we're going to start, and I'm going to start with the large petal, and we're going to do the same thing that we normally do. Now you can see that this one is small, and I'm not really getting anywhere with it, but it will help break the paper down a little bit, and you can keep going and you can get there. But if I use this, I can depress and get a larger area and work it in a circular motion and get the same thing a little bit quicker, okay? Because that's what we're doing, is we're just breaking that paper down and getting a slight cup on it, okay? And you can see how that's starting to shape up, and that's what we want, okay? So you're just gonna rub and break that paper down and go in a circular motion. And then you're going to get there. And then we're just going to do that to all of the petals, all the way through. And when you get down to the smaller ones, you can switch over to your ball stylus. If you have only the small ones, you can switch over to those. So I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me do this to every single petal and every leaf, but you can see how to do that. I'm going to do one more here for you. You will need your flower pad. If you don't have the Cricut paper crafting kit that this came in, McGill makes the ball styluses. I've got glue on mine. McGill makes the ball styluses. This is the 8mm, but they go up to, I think, about a 1/2 inch size, close to a 1/2 inch in their kit. And they've also got a paper, a flower mat is what they call it. If you don't have those, you can use a mouse pad, but you're not going to get the same, it's not going to give you as much give. I have heard people using like the yoga mats, things like that, the play mats from kids' playrooms. You can use those. Maybe the Dollar Tree has a knee pad for like gardening. You can use one of those, but you do want one that's a little bit thicker than what a mouse pad would be, with a little bit more give, okay? So go and shape all of your petals, and every petal in there is exactly the same. You're just going to do the same technique all the way to all the pieces of paper, and then we'll come back and we'll assemble. Okay, and here we are. Got them all done. And I'm just going to say, I left these stacked in the file the way that they come in. That's the way that the Close to My Heart Flower Market cartridge had them stacked. I do not put mine together that way, but you can do that. I also want to say I've made a ton of these, and I still sometimes get confused at the sizes when I cut several at a time. So if you're going to be cutting, say, 3 of each one for your tablescape, or 2 of this one and 3 of another, cut your same sizes together so that you can tell them apart. Because this part's easy. You know that the green is the base. And then there's one identical to it that's in red. And we're going to place that and rotate it. But then you come in and you've got 4 pieces that are in 3 petals each. They are shaped differently. You have 2 that have this notched out curve on them. And then you have 2 that doesn't have that for each one. And when you cut 2 sizes together, you can see how close that this is to this one here. And it can get confusing what goes where and which one goes to which flower. So if you're going to cut multiples, sort them out before you start assembly so that you know you have the right size petals with each one. If they get mixed up, is it going to be a big deal? No, nobody will probably notice and you can keep going. But it's just a little tip that I found that works for me. If I'm cutting various sizes, I try to sort them first. Or if I know I'm going to be cutting 6 or 7 flowers in 3 different sizes, I cut one size at a time. So we're going to start with the base, and we've got it all curled up. It looks crinkled. It looks terrible. It looks like I destroyed my paper. But it's going to come out pretty, I promise. And just a dab of wet glue right in the center. And then we're going to take this red one, and we're going to rotate it so that the leaves fall in between, okay? And give that a press down. Don't worry about it. The weight is going to push this down when we get to that and give us that cupped middle. Then I start with my 2 large 3s. They show this one on the top, but if I put this one on the top, you see how it just kind of kills that petal out there. You can't really see it, so that's why I don't do it the way they have it in the file. So, and these are not going to land perfectly in between on each one of those. Just put it down where it kind of semi goes between 1 or 2 of them. That's all you need. Here is where I use the foam squares on this level. So I'm going to put one there, and I'm going to peel it back, and I am going to place another piece right on top. It doesn't even have to be lined up. It doesn't have to be the same size. Like I said, you can use some scraps here, and it doesn't matter if you even see a little bit of it. So I'm just going to place that down right in the middle, and you can see how that landed between, and this one was kind of on top of those. Not a big deal. I'm going to come in here and get another foam square, stick that one down, and I'm going to stack another one right on top of it. And peel that off. And now I'm going to line this one up where it lands like so. Just in between those 3. I'm not looking at this base or this base. I'm just looking at the 3 I previously put down. Let's see if I can. And I'm going in between on that one. So that's where my 2 3s, how they land. Okay, I got one between the 2 there, right here. And then I placed this one where it was kind of landing in between just the 3. Okay, so if you were just looking at the 3, let's see if I can get my fingers in here to block out the rest. That's the way the 2 3s went down. Okay, the 2 large 3s, I should say. Now this is where I put on my 4 petal one, which they have on the top of theirs, and I glue this one. I don't need any more foam dots. That's all I needed. And my glue, there we go. And then I'm just going to place this where I think it needs to go between those 3. I'm just looking at that last layer I put on, not the rest of the flower. And I'm just placing it where it lands, like so, on those 3. So I've got 2 between. This one is off a little, and this one's off a little, and there's nothing there, and that's okay. Because this 3 is going to come in, and we're going to rotate it until we're happy with how it goes. And I am going to put the biggest petal on that 3 where that hole is on that one. If you can see those 2 layers, there's my big 3, my 4, and then I'm going to put the biggest leaf of this one right there to fill that hole. So I'm just going to place wet glue, and I'm going to place that down and give it a press. And you can see how it's shaping up there. And then my smallest 3, I'm going to put a little dot of glue. And right here, you can see that I have an empty space when it comes to the smaller petals. Right here and right here. And I'm wanting mine right here. So lay it out the way that you want, what works best for you. And I just rotate mine. I don't try to make them all look identical. Flowers are not identical when they're in the garden. So, I mean, if they end up identical, they do. And if they don't, then they don't. And I'm just giving that a press down on top of those foam dots just to get it to make these pop up. And that's what makes those pop up, is pressing down in that center. Okay? So there's nothing in between. And then I use Pale Gold Nuvo drops in the crystal drop formulation. They come in crystal and vintage and glitter, and I'm using the crystal Pale Gold. And the larger you get, the more dots you may want. Now you may want to use rhinestones or sequins, use whatever you have. And I did 3 dots, and I tried to make them point, and I did pretty good at it. You know, to make it kind of realistic. So you'll either need bigger dots or more dots, depending on how big your flower gets. Okay. And I just did kind of 3 big and a medium and a small right in the center of those. And that's going to complete our flower for our tablescape. How pretty is that? Okay, so go ahead and make those and get those ready for your table. And again, this was the 5-inch and the 7-inch, but you can go up as high as 11 inches, okay? So, or 11.5 actually. Can't wait to see what you do. And I will catch you on the next video. And we're going to make an iron-on for our shirt to wear to that table. See you on the next video. Okay, so here we are. And I am using the Smart Iron-On Glitter with my Maker 3. And it is applied at 330 degrees for 30 seconds. And this carrier's pretty thick, but I'm still going to... I think I'm going to skip putting my sheet on there. Now, the way that I'm going to do this is I am going to press and start my timer. I am not going to press this for the entire time. I am only going to press it for about 10 to 15 seconds, just enough to get it to stick. And I'm going to move over to this section over here, because I'm pressing in sections. I'm not going to heat it for the entire time. Just enough to get it to stick, because we're doing several layers. And I don't want to overheat my iron-on. Okay? I just want it to stick so that I can peel it and start my next layer. I think that should be good. And if it's not sticking, then you can do it for a few more seconds. And it's enough. And you saw that I just did that for a few seconds. Now that one didn't stick yet. This is not enough to get it to stay. If you were laundering and all of that, that's not enough time, which we know. I'm going to give that a little press on that corner. Just heating up that adhesive, the iron-on adhesive, just enough to get it to stick. And that one's not stuck either. That one's one's good. That one's good. That one's okay. And it may have been just too hot as well. I'm just going to get that started on that, and it still doesn't want to come off. I thought maybe it was just, yeah, there we go. Perfect. Now those are by no means on there completely. Loving this Smart Iron-On glitter. It is so pretty. I hope that you guys can see that. It's a very, very pretty material. So now that I have that layer on, I'm going to smooth out my shirt. Try to get those wrinkles out of the back of it. I want it to lay flat. Next, I'm going to start with my words. And I know that sleigh goes right in there. I'm looking at my canvas in Design Space just to make sure I'm in the right place and everything is lining up. And see, that doesn't line up, so I know I'm too high. This actually, I'm centering that snowflake in there like it is on my canvas. Getting this red area that's touching up there, so I know that that's not proper. I want that to come down in. And now I'm touching over here, so I'm just adjusting to get this in the right place. And that looks pretty good. So now that I have that one lined up, now I need my Teflon sheet, but I'm not going to use my Teflon sheet because I have this carrier sheet. I'm just going to reuse it. I'm going to place it right over the top. And because this is so thick and I'm using that, this is Smart Iron-On and Everyday Iron-On, and it's $3.15 for 30 seconds. So because that I am doing layers, I'm just going to heat this for about 10 to 15 seconds. Not very long. Again, I just want that Everyday Iron-On to stick. I'm not pressing it for the entire time yet. And you can see that when I press this, I'm pressing the snowflakes again. So that's why we only heat for a specific amount of time, just enough to activate the adhesive, but not fully press it yet, because you will get shrinkage on your iron-on if you overheat it, and it will also destroy your adhesive. So now we have that stuck, and you can save your carriers and use them for various projects. So now I've got that covered, and I'm keeping my large one because the large one I know is going to cover the whole area. How do I know that? Because I started with my largest area first, okay? So now I have that on there, and I'm just letting it cool down for a second. And now I am going to put my wording at the bottom, I think. I'm going to bring my bells in because you see these sliced out places, and that's so that nothing is overlapping. But it looks pretty cool when you place that in there. It looks like it actually threaded it. But oops, look, it's off just a little bit. So I've either got it twisted and not positioned properly. There we go. Or I had shrinkage. And so if I do the bells last on this, then I know, well, not last, but next to the last, I can cut these three pieces apart and place them individually pretty easy. A lot easier than I could rearrange all of this. So now that looks pretty good, and they're lined up in there. And I am going to, again, protect the entire area where I'm pressing with my big carrier again. And we're going to press just the bells. And just for, again, 10 seconds, 5-10 seconds, just enough to get them to stick. And you see that I'm heating the everyday iron-on again and some of the snowflakes again. So things are getting heated more than one time. And that's why we're only doing that few seconds. And then at the end, we're going to press everything together for the full time. And I am going to do it for 330 degrees for 30 seconds because that is the glitter temp. And I think that the other will be okay. Now, if you're worried about it, just press it at the lower temp for the 30 seconds. How cute is this? And now we're going to do our Are You Listening? And that went right about here. The T, it's right along this line, right there at the bottom. And I'm going to press that for a few seconds. I can't get the whole thing in there, so I'm getting everything except the word R. And just start the timer for a few seconds just to help guide us. And now I'm going to come over here and do the word R. Remove my big carrier. That one's not stuck yet. And this is the Smart iron-on as well. Let's see if I've got it on there enough to stick. Not quite right there. And if your iron-on's not sticking, you'll need to make sure that it's hot or cold peel. But usually in this process, it doesn't really matter until you get to the end. But usually I can do a warm peel. I have just noticed that that Y is not touching. I will go in and fix the file for you guys. I can live with it, but I want to make sure that that's touching. The rest of it looks pretty good. That G needs to be moved in just a little. So I will fix that for you guys. How cute. So now is the time that we press for the entire time. So we're going to do 30 seconds. I'm going to protect the whole thing, and you can see that that carrier is covering everything. And now we go full time. And I'm going to do this in sections. I'm going to start on this left side. I don't want to burn my cord. There we go. And I have my mat. All of my big stuff is packed up, and I can't get it on this desk or in the camera if it were here. So we're going to start here and give it 30 seconds. And I will speed through this, guys, just so you don't have to watch me press all of this for 2 minutes, because it's probably going to be 2 or 3 sections. Okay, now we have finished pressing, and I'm just going to let it cool for a second. And we're just going to start peeling. And because we press this for our 5 to 10 seconds beforehand, and we pressed in sections, I am not heating this from the back. If you're just doing one color, then yes, you probably would want to do that per Cricut instruction. I'm going to be honest, I don't, and I've never had any of my Cricut iron-on come off, except one time. It was the first time I used glitter, and I put it on a bag that had Scotchgard on it, and I didn't realize it, and it didn't stick. It wasn't the fault of the application. It wasn't the fault of the iron-on itself. It was the Scotchgard on the bag that caused it. And I should have read those instructions or read more closely about the bag before I put it on there. So this is totally done, guys, and I'm going to say that Smart iron-on glitter is so nice. It's not as the old glitter used to be really rough and scratchy, and this is not like that. I'm really, really, really liking it. So I hope you guys like this project, and give a thumbs up, a like to the video, and I will catch you on day 12, the 26th of July, for our grand finale. Thanks for watching.